I didn't want to be right. I swear, when I recorded the video, when I spoke about what Jesus showed me deep in my heart, I expected to be wrong, that people would call me crazy, and that nothing I said would ever come to pass. But it did. It's only been a few days. The whole world saw it, and most people didn't understand what they were seeing. But you, with your eyes open, understood. I received hundreds of messages. People writing in the early hours of the morning, their hearts racing, saying they had seen it, that they recognized it, that they felt the same tightness in their chest that I described when Jesus showed me the vision. It wasn't a coincidence that you felt that way, because what was seen at that opening ceremony in Mexico wasn't a cultural spectacle, it was a ritual. And I need to talk about what I saw, not as an analyst, not as an expert, but as someone to whom Jesus showed beforehand what was being prepared, and who now sees it fulfilled with his own eyes before the entire world. Azteca Stadium. When the announcer uttered that name, I felt something. Because the Aztecs weren't just an advanced civilization. They were a people who offered human lives to their gods, men, women, children, climbing the stone steps of those pyramids to be delivered to the forces the Bible calls by name, principalities, powers, princes of darkness. Paul wrote this in Ephesians 6. He wasn't being poetic, he was describing a reality that existed long before any World Cup, long before any civilization humankind has ever built. And that night, in that stadium that bears the name of those people, what I saw on the screen made me close my eyes and take a deep breath, because that was exactly what Jesus had taught me. It's not the stadium, it's not the performers, it's the structure behind it all. I saw the circular stage, and the cameras showed it from above, and the whole stadium looked like a huge, open eye looking up at the sky, an eye that wasn't looking down, as if there was something above that place, being invited to come down. And then came the pyramid in the center of the stage with the World Cup trophy on top. I had to stop for a moment when I saw that, because the cup wasn't placed just anywhere, it was placed exactly where, in another time, in another ceremony, they would have placed an offering on top of the altar, and a woman presented as a priestess would have been declared alive before the whole world. Here in Mexico, we welcome you to this ancestral land where rituals, movements, and spirits prevail. The spirits prevail. People said it bluntly, with billions of people watching, and most thought it was a nice welcoming phrase, but it wasn't. It was a spiritual declaration, it was a door that was opened. It was exactly the kind of thing the Bible tells us to recognize and to stay away from. In Deuteronomy 18, God was very clear with his people. He said that no one among them should consult spirits, perform rituals for forces other than themselves, or open portals to anything that doesn't come from the light. And there he was, at the World Cup opening ceremony, live. And then the commentator said something I still can't get out of my head. He said that the grass was being consecrated, that a spirit was receiving the energy of the entire planet. Consecrated. This word isn't neutral. To consecrate means to set aside for a purpose, to dedicate something or someone. And the grass. That World Cup was dedicated to a spirit that is not the God of the Bible. And you know what bothered me the most? It wasn't the ritual itself, it was people's reaction. Nobody stopped, nobody questioned anything. The cameras kept rolling, the commentators kept smiling, and billions of people at home kept watching as if it were the most normal thing in the world, as if it were simply part of the show. And this is where what Jesus told me in the vision makes even more sense now than when he told me. He told me that the deception wouldn't come disguised as deception. It would come with a festive air, with beautiful music, with famous artists, with colorful lights, with such an impressive production that nobody stops to think about what's being said behind it all. And what was being said was an invitation to very ancient spiritual forces, forces that the Bible describes precisely, to come and inhabit that event, that pitch, those stands, and through the screens, the homes of every person watching without knowing what was being revealed. In the previous video, I said that something was going to happen in the sky during the final. A light said it wouldn't be fireworks, it wouldn't be a special effect. It would be something the cameras would capture without understanding what they were filming, something that would make the players stop in the middle of the field and look up. I said that, and now that the opening ceremony has confirmed everything I said about the symbols, I need you to understand the significance of what's coming next. Because if they did that at the opening ceremony, what do you think is being prepared for the final? Jesus showed me that stadium with a clarity that I still feel in my heart, and he showed me something I couldn't fully describe in the first video because I didn't have enough words. I'll try now. The network of dark energy I saw above the stadium, that structure that pulsed as if it had a life of its own, wasn't there by chance. It was there because it was built brick by brick, event by event, ceremony by ceremony. Everything you saw at the inauguration in Mexico was just another brick in this construction. The serpent on the stage, the priestess consecrating the grass, the spirit being invoked by name, the pyramid with the cup as an offering. Each symbol was a stone placed on a foundation that has been under construction for decades, and the roof will be the last thing to be added. Jesus told me this with a seriousness I've never forgotten. I said, what they're building isn't visible to the naked eye, but it's real. And when it's finished, it will be used in a way that will baffle even those who love me. I asked how you can baffle those who love you. And he responded with something I needed to think about closely. I said, because what will be seen in that stadium during the final will use the language my people understand. They will use words that sound like my words. They will use feelings that resemble my feelings. And there will be people who have gone to church all their lives, who raised their children in the faith, who know the Bible by heart, who will fall to their knees thinking they are worshipping me and not. They will be. I was speechless when he said that, because I know people like that. You know some too. Maybe your mother is like that, your father, your 70-year-old grandmother who has never missed a church service in her life. And Jesus was telling me that these people, exactly these people, are the primary target of what is being prepared for the end. In Matthew 24:24, Jesus said in his own words, "For false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. If possible, even the elect." He didn't say the elect would be deceived, he said the deception would be so convincing, so sophisticated, so close to the truth, that it would be able to tempt even those who belong to God. And what we saw at the opening of that World Cup was a rehearsal. The final will be the main event. I received so many messages after the first video that I couldn't sleep well for days. Not out of pride, not because of being overweight, because what people wrote wasn't just amen and praise, it was a cry, silent cries written in the early morning by people who watched the video alone in the dark, with their hearts racing, thinking about their children who don't believe, their grandchildren who have never been to church, their husbands who think it's all an exaggeration. A woman wrote, "I heard it. I'm awake, but my children are sleeping, and I don't know how to reach them." I read that message 3 times because I know that weight. It's the weight of knowing something and not being able to make the person you love believe it. It's the weight of seeing danger approaching and not being able to pull the other person away from it. And then I remembered what Jesus had told me in the vision. He said that the children of God were not called to save others, but to pray for them. And there's a big difference between the two. To save requires that the other person wants to be saved. Prayer doesn't demand anything from others, it demands everything from you. And in Luke 18:1, Jesus was very clear about this. It's necessary to pray always and not always give up. Not just when I feel like it, not just when the situation seems favorable, but always. And whatever comes after the World Cup final will require precisely this kind of prayer. Prayer that doesn't falter, prayer that continues even when your child doesn't answer the phone, even when your grandchild laughs when you talk about it. God, even when your husband changes the channel when the topic is Jesus. Keep going, because Jesus showed me something about those who are asleep that gave me more hope than anything else I saw in that vision. He showed me that many who are asleep today will wake up to what is coming. Not gently, not comfortably, but they will wake up, and when they wake up, They will have to find someone who was already there, someone who already knew, someone who prayed for them during the years when they laughed, and that someone could be you. Another comment that stuck with me was from someone who wrote, "The scariest thing of all was when you said that a person can lose the ability to hear God's voice." That made me stop because this person understood what most people didn't. The greatest danger of what is coming is not physical, it's not political, it's not economic. That's it. It's waking up. One day, I would invoke the name of Jesus and feel silence, not because he left, but because the thread was gradually cut, decision after decision, distraction after distraction, until the voice became so distant that it seemed as if it had never existed. And in Revelation 3:20, Jesus said, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and dine with him, and he with me." That someone hears not everyone, just some, because there comes a point when the door becomes so heavy on the inside from so much accumulated sin, so much ignored silence, so many decisions made without consulting, that the person still hears the knocking, but no longer has the strength to open it. And Jesus told me that what is being prepared for after this end will accelerate this process in millions of people at the same time. That is why the instruction he gave me is so urgent, because it is not about seeing or not seeing the end, it is not about agreeing or disagreeing with what I say. It is about a decision that each person must make now while the wire is still intact, while the voice is still clear, while the door is still open. And that decision is simple, not easy, but straightforward. He decided that his voice is worth more than anything else that might compete for attention in the coming days, months. It's worth more than the news, more than social media, more than other people's opinions, more than the fear of the future. Because whoever has their voice within themselves doesn't need to fear what's outside. And it was here that Jesus told me something he hadn't yet told me in the first video. This, what's coming, will be terrifying for those who don't know me. For those who do, it will be the confirmation of everything I've always said. And confirmation doesn't frighten, confirmation strengthens. And then he showed me the last thing, what I packed last, because it's the heaviest to carry, and it's about what will happen inside the churches in the days following the final, not outside, but inside, because the deception that's coming won't knock on church doors asking to come in, it will already be inside. And it was there that Jesus showed me something I hadn't yet been able to express out loud, not even to my sister, not even to the person closest to me. I kept it to myself for weeks. I prayed about it alone. I begged God 1,000 times to have. I was wrong, that it was my interpretation, that it wasn't what I thought, but I wasn't acting, that it was clear. He took me inside a church, not a particular church. It was as if they were altogether large, full, with seats occupied from beginning to end, a brightly lit stage, a band playing, a pastor at the front with his arms outstretched. It was a normal service. That's exactly how millions of people will experience it on the day of the final, because the final will be on a Sunday afternoon. And many churches, instead of closing their doors and praying, will turn on their giant screens, broadcasting the final to the congregations as a celebration, as a gathering, as a way to be together. And it was there that Jesus squeezed my hand with a force I felt to my very bones. And he said, "Look what's going to happen." I watched as the broadcast began. I saw the members sitting with their cups of soda in their hands, children on their laps, the normal joy of a group of people who know and like each other. And then the light appeared in the sky above the stadium, and I saw something which I will never be able to fully describe. I saw the reaction of the people inside the church. It wasn't amazement, it wasn't questioning, it was immediate, automatic worship, as if that light had pierced the screens and touched something inside each person at the same time. I saw hands rising, I saw tears streaming down their faces. I saw the pastor at the front staring at the screen, eyes wide, declaring, "It is he has returned." And the entire congregation fell to their knees, weeping, praising, with such beautiful peace on their faces that it hurt to look at them, because I knew what they didn't know, it wasn't him. In 2 Thessalonians 29, Paul wrote about this with a precision that gave me goosebumps when I remembered it after the vision. The coming of the lawless one will be according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and wonders that serve the lie. Signs and wonders that serve the lie. These aren't signs that seem wrong, they aren't wonders that seem evil, they are signs that seem right, wonders that seem divine, so convincing, so powerful, so full of a peace that seems supernatural, that even those who know the Bible will need more than knowledge to resist. You will need a relationship. And it was here that Jesus told me the most important thing in the entire vision. This is the difference between those who will recognize him and those who won't. It won't be based on who has read the most Bible, who has been to church more often, or who knows the most verses by heart. It will be based on who heard me speak in silence. I kept it. Who heard me speak in silence. Because there is a difference between knowing about God and knowing God. You can know everything about a person, know their history, know what they like, know what they do, and yet never have heard their voice. And when someone appears imitating that person with similar gestures, similar words, with a presence that resembles the original, those who have never heard the true voice will accept the copy. Those who have heard the true voice will know it in time. And Jesus told me something I repeat to myself whenever fear overwhelms me. My voice has a frequency that no other can imitate. Those who truly know me don't need analysis, they don't need theology. The heart recognizes it like a child who hears their mother calling them in the middle of a crowd and knows it's her even before turning around. That's how it's going to be. And in the comments of the first video, I saw many people writing that they are awake, that they have heard, that they are prepared. But there's one thing I need to say to whoever wrote this. Being awake isn't enough. You can be awake and still be kidnapped. Because the deception that is coming won't attack those who are asleep. They are already lost for now. The deception will attack those who are awake. To those who know, to those who foresaw it, to those who warned others, he will use their own knowledge against them. He will come with biblical references, with the right language, with the appropriate attitude, and he will say exactly what those who await Jesus' return want to hear. And it was here that Jesus gave me the final instruction for those who are awake. This is it, don't trust what you see, don't trust what you feel, trust what you know about me in silence, because on the day of that event, what you see will be too impressive to question, what you feel will be too compelling to resist. The only anchor that will hold you is the one planted before, in the moments when there was no spectacle, just you and me. Just you and me. That phrase stuck in my heart like a stone in my chest because I sincerely wondered about it. Do I have those moments? I have those moments when it's just God and me, with nothing around, no music, no video, no worship, nothing but His voice and the silence that surrounds us. Does my faith depend on my surroundings? That's a difficult question, but it's the right question, because Jesus didn't tell me that those who persevere are the strongest. He didn't tell me that they are the most intelligent. He didn't tell me that they are the ones who know the Bible best. He told me that they are the ones who have a secret place with Him. In Matthew 6:6, He Himself said, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." The room, the closed door, the secrecy, neither the stage, nor the microphone, nor the screen, the small place where no one sees. And those who possess this place will face what is coming with a peace that will make no sense to the world around them, not because they are special, but because they are so well known. And being known by God is the only protection that will work when everything that seems sacred ceases to be so. I need to end this video with something that has been on my heart since I returned from that night. Jesus showed me many terrifying things, the beginning, the end, the leader, the collapse, the division within the churches. But the last image He left me with was not one of destruction, it was that little house again with the candle, with the open Bible, with the family gathered together, and this time I could see the faces of the people inside the house. They were not faces of perfect people, not saintly faces, but the faces of ordinary people, bearing the marks of weariness, with difficult stories reflected in their eyes, with unanswered questions, yet they were together. And above them, a peace that defies all explanation. And Jesus told me the last thing he told me in that entire vision: tell them that the size of the house doesn't matter, the size of the family doesn't matter, the size of faith doesn't matter. What matters is that when the world is in darkness, their candle will be lit, and a candle in the darkness doesn't need to compete with anything. It simply shines, and that is enough. I am here again, not because I am brave. I am here because I saw the opening ceremony of that World Cup with my own eyes, and every symbol that appeared on that stage in Mexico was exactly what Jesus told me would appear. And if the opening ceremony was like this, the final will be unlike anything this generation has ever experienced. You don't have to believe me. But take to heart what has been said here. Because when that light appears in the sky above that stadium, and you will remember this moment. And at that moment, one thing will matter, only one. If you recognize his voice in the silence, if you know, you will know what to do. If you don't know, there is still time. The 2026 World Cup final will be played on July 19th. Today is not July 19th, there is still time, and he is waiting silently where he has always been.